You may be asking me, what is a youth activities entertainment host? That's a good question. Hey guys, so a lot of you have asked me to make a Disney Cruise Line video, so this is like my intro. Okay. Thank you. I worked for Disney Cruise Line for 2 years before the pandemic. My first contract started April 25th, 2018. It's almost been 3 years now. And my role was a youth activities entertainment host or hostess. What is a youth activities entertainment hostess? I didn't even know. So, youth activities. On Disney Cruise Line, each cruise ship, Magic, Wonder, Dream, and Fantasy, soon to be Wish, each cruise ship has kids clubs that are exclusive for children. Everyone from ages 6 months all the way to 17 years. This specific department is called youth activities. We have counselors that take care of the kids in the kids club, right? The counselors. Then we have assistant managers, and then the manager of youth activities, if you're going up the ladder. But down here, next to counselors, we have youth activities entertainment hosts. The youth activity entertainment hosts are the same as the cruise staff entertainment hosts, if that makes any sense. Cruise staff over here is another department, and they run family and adult programming. Things from adult-only trivia, family-friendly karaoke, to game shows and the dance parties up on the open deck, like Mickey's, Pirates, things of that sort. They do those, and they have their own hierarchy as well, different roles, positions, but they have their cruise staff and then their cruise staff entertainment hosts. Entertainment hosts. We're like the same, but we're over here. So no one really knows about us because we only work with the children. So over here, cruise staff, they interact with the entire family, so the parents get to know them. And over here, we perform shows that, for the most part, only children get to see, which I love. So youth activities and cruise staff, along with other departments such as technicians and main stage and character performers and port adventures, etc., we all fall under the big department of entertainment. Alright, so you know about how youth activities fits in, but what is a youth activities entertainment host or hostess? That's a good question. What does our role entail? What are our responsibilities? Well, let me tell you. A youth activities entertainment host performs all the shows that are under youth activities, so everything that's in the kids clubs. So entertainment for ages 6 months all the way to 17 years. Yeah. In youth activities, there is a nursery, there is the Oceaneer Club and Lab, there is Edge, there is Vibe, and sometimes we do stuff throughout the ship with the kids. We perform... All of my experience has been on the Disney Fantasy. I spent all 2 years working for Disney Cruise Line on the Disney Fantasy. All of my information is just about the Disney Fantasy. On the Disney Fantasy, someone counted it. It was something like 40 or 60 shows, something like that, like 50 separate scripts or FGs, facilitator guides. If you counted how many individual characters or roles in those scripts and FGs, there was something ridiculous, like 100 different characters. But some of them host as myself, like for a Star Wars game show or something like that. Some of our shows are solo, like one host performs the entire show by themselves, and some of them are with 2 co-hosts. Within my first year of working on the cruise line, I had learned all of the shows. And within my first year and a half-ish, I learned all of the roles in all of those shows, if that makes any sense. For example, we have a show called Woody's Roundup. Woody's Roundup is a 2-host show. So in the show, we have Annabelle and Walker, here to teach all the kids in Andy's room how to be rootin' tootin' cowfolk. This is a gendered script. This script was written for a male role and a female role. On the Disney Fantasy, we had this issue where most of the hosts identified as women. So let's say in total, scheduled for the Fantasy, there were 12 hosts. Alright, usually there's only around 8 or 9 at one time, and some people are on vacation. But let's say there's 12 hosts. Maybe 3 of them identify as guys, so it kind of makes those shows a little difficult, at least to schedule, especially when there's a few of those gendered rolled shows scheduled at the same time, and if we only have one guy on the ship at that one moment. So this happened to me once. The schedules come out just like a few days before, like a rough draft. By 6 p.m. the night before, you have your schedule for the next day. So on the drafts, you check to see what shows are happening when, making sure at least in the shows that you're scheduled on the right time. You have, if it's a 2-host show, that 2 hosts are scheduled on it. The assistant managers of youth activities that do the entire schedule for all of youth activities are under a lot of pressure. So it's hard to see individually what's going on when there's like 60 people in the department. So it's our job to double check, and in this instance, I was checking through, found out that the other co-host was a woman as well as me for Woody's Roundup. So we both knew the role of Annabelle, not of Walker. Annabelle. So Woody's Roundup is about a 45-minute show, and about 30 minutes of it is dialogue. The rest of it's improv. Most of our shows are improv when you're working with kids. So she knew Annabelle. I knew Annabelle. Neither of us knew Walker, but I went up to her and I was like, hey, I'm cool to learn the role of Walker in the next 2 days. Is that all right? And she's like, yeah, cool, great. So I went to my cabin and I read the script and I learned it. It was easier at that point because I've done that show a few times and I'm familiar with hearing how the Walkers respond to how Annabelle says things. So I started talking in my southern accent. One of my southern accents. Anywho, I can't say Annabelle. I can't say Annabelle. Okay, right. Yeah. So that's what I mean when I said I knew the show. Like I knew Woody's Roundup for Annabelle. That's what I would be scheduled on. But then finally at that point, I knew both roles to that show. So about 1.5 years in, I knew every role of all the shows that we had on the Disney Fantasy in youth activities. Yeah. It's a lot. And do I still know them now? Who knows? Funny thing about that, after coming back from my first contract, so I went on vacation and I was in my second contract, I was going through all my scripts because, I just barely learned them. But by the time it was my third contract, instead of having to reread the entire scripts, I was reading my notes of what needs to happen in the show. I would just go through that to make sure I knew what was happening before I just went out on the stage. And then the last contract, I'd never had to even look at any notes. I just knew those shows, except for the Star Wars shows. The Star Wars shows, we have Recruitment Effort with BB-8, we have Force Training, and we have Resistance Space Challenge. Wait, I forgot Star Wars Scavengers Hunt. Okay, carry on. So these 2 shows are heavily scripted. Force Training is a solo show. It's a 30-minute show. 20-25 minutes, depending on audience involvement, And then Resistance Space Challenge is a co-host show, so there's 2 roles in that show. These are heavily scripted shows. These are those shows where you need to know them perfectly because of Lucasfilm, to make sure that there's no issues and we stay within the universe. Yeah. So I'll talk about those shows in another video. So yeah, I rambled on a little bit, but that is my intro to my experience working for Disney Cruise Line, my intro to youth activities entertainment host. I'll probably make another video that's a more general video about just working in the entertainment department, working for Disney Cruise Line, or even just working on a cruise line in general. Yeah, cool. Oh yeah, shoot. Another thing I forgot to tell you about responsibilities as a YA entertainment host is that we are performing, setting up, cleaning up, and sometimes being the tech on our shows. We also fill in the space for counselors when we're needed. So between shows, I'll be friends with a super sloppy scientist, and then the next moment I will be in Andy's room trying to get the kid to stop crying while everyone else is screaming. Yeah, fun stuff. Let me know what other questions you have, whether it be about ship life, like, living in a cabin and the food, or whether it be about my role as a YA Ent host, what's it like being a counselor and a performer, or if you have questions about working entertainment. We have different privileges working in the entertainment department than someone, say, working in the galley would have. So, like, differences between different roles in ship life. Yeah, let me know what questions you have, and I'll try and answer them, and I'll make some more videos. Okay. Oh, don't forget to like, subscribe, and blah 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 blah. Bye. So, R.I.P. Green Soldier, entertainment.